What can we do about CGC's turnaround time? And should Batman kill? Sound off in the comment section and also in the chat. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show, a show that we all do on Sunday to basically kick the week off right. And as part of this show, I give you a preview of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel. And we typically talk about some news and current events. As part of this show, I'm actually going to have a guest join me in a few moments to spend some time talking with me about what is happening at CGC, whether it can be fixed with the many suggestions that are being offered up in the comic book community. We're going to talk about a couple of those suggestions up ahead. And as I mentioned, there is a question out there as to whether Batman should actually kill. And this was brought to the surface again because of the Peacemaker series. There was an exchange that happened in the show, and people are starting to have a little debate. And so I am definitely curious where people stand on that, because Batman has a code. He has a code that he will not kill people. He will just send you to Arkham and to jail for you to come back out time and time again so that his comic book can continue into the future indefinitely. That is just the way that it rolls. So let me give you guys a quick preview of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel here. We have a couple of cool videos where we're going to do a slightly different video this week. We did one last week. It did not go well. Be honest with you, did not go well in any way, shape, or form. I thought it was a cool video. Lots of wonderful editing. You guys didn't like it because nobody watched it. But we are going to continue experimenting and trying to have some fun. So one of the videos that is going to be coming out this week is called Dope But Underutilized. And so you may remember a couple of months ago, I put up a couple of posts in various places, including Instagram, asking for suggestions on incredibly dope characters that may be underutilized out there for some reason or another. That question was asked for a purpose, and the purpose is Dope But Underutilized is the series. And so we've only done one installment. If it does not go well, you will never hear about this again. If it does go well, then this might be something we do on an ongoing basis. So that is one video that is coming out. I'm going to do a comic book haul. That is the second video. The third one is CGC cost me a lot of money. And I'm not going to say any more than that other than CGC cost me a lot of money. You will have to watch the video that comes out this week to find out exactly what I'm talking about. All the pre-recorded videos come out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And on Wednesday, we have a live show at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the Comics Today show. That is where we come together and we celebrate the best day of the week, that being Wednesday, New Comic Book Day. So that is the rundown of what's going on this week. In addition to the videos, we're also going to be releasing a podcast on Monday that will be coming out around 10 o'clock. My brother actually works on the podcast. He puts that stuff together and releases it on Monday at 10. You might wonder, well, which podcasting platforms are you on? The vast majority of them. If you search on your favorite podcasting platform for Regie Collects, you should find me. Some of the older ones have maybe 100 or so episodes. Some of the newer ones have fewer than that, but you should have no problem finding me, especially if you're looking on like Spotify, Apple, and Podbean. And there are links on Instagram. I think there's also links on the website, regiecollects.com, to some of those platforms to be able to access that stuff. One other update I will give you guys before I start talking about CGC is I've been doing a lot of updates because I want people to be super clear. The orders for the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting, the second print, have all been mailed out. All of them have been mailed out with the exception of, I think, two international people still have not responded to my emails, and I've sent 2 emails to those 2 individuals On Monday, I am going to be canceling those orders. So fingers crossed that those people will actually respond to my emails, and I can get their books mailed out to them. If I do not hear from those individuals, we're going to cancel it, which basically means that there will be a couple of additional books, copies of the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting that I will make available. I think I will make some available on Wednesday. Again, my goal is to let all of the orders work their way to people that place those orders, to make sure that they arrive safely. Also, to make sure that I fulfilled all the orders, because, there's a lot of orders and there's not a lot of me. So fingers crossed that I've completed all the orders correctly, but I want to give it a couple of more days to make sure that I have enough inventory. There is a possibility that on Wednesday, during the Wednesday live show, I will make a couple of books available, and we will see how many will actually come out. So Ryan is like, I'll buy one of those copies. So I would definitely say, I think Ryan also joined Patreon today. Shout out to Ryan. I definitely appreciate you supporting the channel through Patreon, brother. It means a lot when people take cash out of their pocket and give a little something back to the channel. So again, on Wednesday, I hope to be able to announce during the live show that copies are available. We did it last Wednesday. We had 10 books available, all 10 sold before the show ended. So my hope is that we can do a couple more this Wednesday, giving, again, a few more days for orders to actually reach people across the country, and or to realize that they don't have a tracking number and that I forgot to send it. That is the worst scenario for me. So I'm holding inventory to make sure that I can fulfill orders the proper way. All right. So let me scroll through the comments here real quick. Say a couple hellos to Tina. How you doing, Tina? It is always good to see you. Pretty fly for a Filipino guy. How you doing, brother? As always, it is good to see you. Chris is in the house. My man Mark, how you doing, brother? Hopefully you are staying warm up there in Canada. Spencer, how you doing? Milt is in the house. Bryson is here. Scrolling, climbing. Alan, how you doing? Oh, so that reminds me, we actually went to the movies for the very first time as a family today. My boy, who is 7, he's gone to the movies with me. He's gone with my wife, but my wife, myself, and my 2 kids have never gone to the movies together, mostly because we figured that one of the kids would not be able to sit through the whole movie. And so we decided to journey out today. We made it. And we went out and we actually had a pretty good time at the theaters. And as you would imagine, my daughter, who is still 4, did not quite make it through the whole thing. I actually had to step out and spend a little time with her outside. And then she was able to rally, and we saw Sing 2. We saw Sing 2. Cost me $35 for the 2 bags of candy that the kids had a little bit of and that we threw away. And then we came home, and my boy actually then ordered Sing 2 on the TV. He decided that he was going to take it upon himself to spend more money on top of the money we already spent to buy Sing 2. Needless to say, we are about to lock that thing down because it cost me $25 additional. He is going to watch Sing nonstop for the next 48 hours so that I can get every single dollar out of this thing. All right, so let's go ahead. And I want to I cannot help but laugh at this one. Turbo Man, he says, so happy you have a pleasant voice, reading your guide with my voice in his head. What's funny is that, Turbo Man, you are not the only person that has said that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say that they can actually hear me when they're reading the words, which I think is a testament to what Doug and I kind of put into the book, right? It is an extension of the channel. Years and years of video content is poured into that book, along with Doug's wonderful blog posts and additional commentary that we both offered. So I think it's wonderful that you can hear my voice. I jokingly said to Fire Guy Ryan, I was like, I am going to do an audiobook. I'm going to do an audiobook, and I'm literally going to read the guide to people because I think that people might enjoy that, So we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. So over the last maybe year or so, certainly the last 6 months, there has been a lot of frustration and angst directed to CGC, specifically around turnaround times in conjunction with 2 price increases that they have taken. I will tell you for a fact that there is nobody out there other than maybe CBCS, that is pleased with turnaround times at CGC. Like no one is pleased with that. I can't imagine that these folks at CGC are happy about it. We as collectors that are sending books in certainly are not happy. The LCSs, the dealers, nobody is happy about this. So there is definitely something that has to be done, right? And over this last stretch, I have heard people make different suggestions as to what can be done to address the turnaround time. And I've heard dribs and drabs of different ideas, some good, some bad. My guest has probably heard some of these things as well, and we're going to invite him on in a minute. But one of the things that I've heard a lot most recently is people basically saying that all CGC needs to do is open another facility. Just open another facility and everything, all the problems that ail will suddenly go away simply by doing that. And I personally am of the opinion that that makes no sense. I am of the opinion that that makes no sense. And I don't know what my guest is going to say. He may think that it's a wonderful idea. I honestly don't know. But for giggles, I decided to give a little thought to what would happen if they decided to open another facility. And I wanted to kind of root it in maybe some data and some numbers that we could play with, right? Give or take a little bit, a variable or an assumption here or there, you can play with it. CGC currently has, CCG, which is the parent company of CGC, has a facility in Sarasota, Florida that is 82,000 square feet. This 82,000 square feet houses, I think, everything that is CCG, which is CGC, the paper money side. It houses all of that stuff, right? And just doing some simple math, $82,000 times the national average for commercial square feet, which is about $8 a square foot, comes out to around $656,000 per year, right? Just simple math. Let's say that you don't need that full facility in another location. You cut it in half. Let's just say you cut it in half. You are still looking at $328,000 per year just for the footprint for people. You still need the people. So let's say this facility that CGC has right now, 82,000 square feet, houses 330 people. Let's just say you cut that in third. You take 100 people to do nothing else but process comics in another location, in a facility that is 41,000 square feet. Let's pick them up. Let's put them somewhere. Let's look at that math. 100 people, 40 hours a week, 4,000 hours per week times $8 an hour. Let's just assume that that is the minimum wage. $8 an hour. That is $32,000 a week, or $128,000 a month, or $1.5 million per year. So right now, let's just say you are in the hole almost $2 million. That does not include benefits for those people. It does not include insurance for collectibles. It does not include a lot of other things like inventory, which is also incredibly expensive. Let's back up a second. There is no way you're going to pay these people $8 an hour. There's no way. In Florida alone, over the next 4 years, I think that they passed some legislation to actually increase the minimum wage from wherever it is right now. I think it's like $10 to like $15. If you were to go to someplace like California, I think potentially it's also going to be higher there. So you're not going to pay these people $8 and expect them not to steal the collectibles that they are supposed to be unboxing, cleaning, pressing, grading, shipping, all that kind of stuff. You're going to pay them more than that. So your $1.5 million in just basic salary is probably going to go up. Depending upon where you put this facility, the prices are probably going to go up, because $8 a square foot for, I think it's like just warehouse space, is probably going to be higher, especially if you go someplace like California, which is one place that a lot of people are recommending that they go, which again does not make sense. My point here is that that is a ton of money. That is a ton of money for a second facility that potentially will not solve the inefficiencies that are apparent. You first fix what you have before you replicate it. That's like the whole franchise model. Franchise model is you perfect it, then you replicate it. You don't replicate a hot mess, because a hot mess replicated just becomes a bigger mess. With that said, I want to go to my guest, who is maybe going to talk me off of a ledge, or he's going to double down with me. We will see. Doug, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you.
Hey, Reggie. Great to see you.
So I was on a little bit of a rip there, brother. I got fired up. I had my wife, I said, baby, can you check my math? I'm over here making stuff up, check my math. But Doug, what say you to this idea that all that CGC needs to do to address the current turnaround time is to open another facility in a place like California? What say you to that question?
So I think we're on the same page with this one, Reggie. My, my first thought is when you ask, should they open a second facility? The real question there is, why would they open a second facility? What is the benefit?
Mm,
And I think you laid out the problem well. To me, CGC, which it still is a great company and I think offers a great service, is having growing pains, has been for a while,
yep.
which is, I think, the cause of the frustration for many people. But the reality is, to me, and again, I don't work for CGC. I don't talk to people at CGC, so I have no insider information. It seems to me like challenges that they're dealing with, like a lot of businesses, are probably more human resource and human capital related than the need for more space.
So let's be clear. What you're talking about is people, skilled people to do the work that has to be done. Are you attributing that to the pandemic, or are you saying that maybe the pandemic exacerbated an existing problem of humans?
I think it's probably related and not related. The
Okay.
reality is, for every business, including my own, it's tougher to hire right now for a lot of different reasons that we won't get into. But also the type of staffing that you're looking at hiring. Some probably some intake people
Mhm.
might not need as higher skill to
Yep.
start.
Yep.
But when it comes to graders and quality control and trainers for graders, that's a very high skill level. And there's a limited number of people with that skill level that already exist. So that in and of itself, even if you could hire, say, more staff on the intake side of things to improve, you know, um, how things are received, how quickly they're processed, that things are date stamped and entered into the system quicker. Even if you did all of that, you still need a lot of graders. You still need quality control people who will recognize errors that somebody without that training won't recognize. They'll recognize that it's a wrong label. They'll recognize quickly that the name on the book is not what was graded, or that the grade on the label looks off at first blush from the book itself.
Yeah,
So
let's pause there for a
yeah,
second. So essentially what I'm hearing you say is that there is no college, there's no university that is actively churning out engineers that any company can hire if they can find that resume, right? Because I mean, think about it. There is an infrastructure that feeds tech companies, for example, right? There are all kinds of software, programs out there, engineering programs across the country and across the world that are training people to be software engineers that can then come out and get a job with your Apples and your Microsoft. There is no university of learning how to grade comics. So you are essentially trying to, I guess, teach people this skill and then put them into the real world and expect them to run. That's a tall order, to your point, right? But also I gave some simple math here of $8 an hour. There's no way you're going to pay a grader $8 an hour. Maybe your
no.
warehouse person is maybe $10, because I think that's the actual minimum wage, but your grader is going to be higher, which means that your overall salaries are going to be higher. And then the last point that I heard you make is that essentially there is a bottleneck. Even if you improve the intake, you still have a bottleneck with the graders and the quality control, which affects the output of what's coming out. Did I misstate anything there?
No, you didn't. And one of the things, so let's take a hypothetical, and let's say that space would solve a problem. So, for instance, maybe opening a facility in Canada or opening a facility in Europe, that might solve a problem if you could get the space cheaper, and it would save your client's money. So that would solve a perceived problem. But that's just going to get more people from a new market to send more books.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yep.
And your cost for, if you like California, your HR department, there's like so many different laws in California, right? That you have to abide by. You've spoken about like the human factor, but then there's also the inventory question, right? If you move to a different market and you divide your inventory by two, it's not simple math of just dividing it by two, because you have to have a surplus of material there. The picture that I'm trying to paint here for folks is that it's not a simple thing to just say, open another office, boom, magical problem has been solved, right? Because if that were the answer, we're dealing with people that just bought a company valued at $550 million. If the answer was as simple as opening another facility, rest assured that these people would have been like, boom, it's more complicated than that. And Doug and I, as people that are not even immersed in this industry per se, right? If we're able to just highlight a couple of issues, think about how many others there really are with this thing, Doug, is there any more you want to add to that? Because I do have another question for you, but is there more that you want to add to this question of opening another facility? Sounds like you're good.
Nope.
All right.
I think we're good.
Okay. So that's one question or one suggestion that I've heard from people. Are there any others that you've heard, right? Because again, they open another facility has been like the big one that people are like, this is the answer for everything. Have you heard of any other ideas that have been thrown out there?
I mean, I think the biggest one we kind of covered, which is like, well, hire more graders, hire more staff. But again, we talked about that. That's not really easy. I know since returning to the hobby about 2 years ago, I've educated myself a lot on grading, and I feel comfortable now dirty grading. I would be a terrible hire for CGC to take and like put me on the line as a grader, because I would not be able to tell if a page had been chemically treated for restoration. I don't know how to recognize that. There are many skills that I do not have, even though I consider myself knowledgeable. So it's not just as simple as, well, go out and find people with a good eye, because there's a lot more to grading a comic book than a good eye.
Well said. I think somebody else also made the point here that, if your goal is to improve quality, adding more people and adding people that don't have the full skill set, as you just outlined, will lead to inconsistencies in like grading, right? You could have this other facility that's been stood up that has, let's just say, half of them are neophytes, right? You could have some crazy grades coming out of that facility versus this other more established facility. And then all of a sudden, because every book out of the new one is coming out of 9.8, they get slammed with a ton of books right to that location so that, people can get that 9.8. Now you have other issues. You have some major issues that are happening where people are now trying to game the system and take advantage of it. Doug, get in there.
Well, we've had this conversation, and there's kind of a saying in business, high quality, fast turnaround, cheap price, pick two. Like you only get two. And in comics grading, you cannot sacrifice the high quality, because the minute you go that, you get a 9.8, you get a 9.8, everybody does, then no one respects your service and you lose your business. And there have been other companies, I won't mention names, that have gone through those bad reputation things, whether they still deserve them or not, because there were questions of quality, it's hurt them. So now you're stuck between, well, do I want to pay a lot of money, or do I want yeah, there we go. Do I want to pay a lot of money, or do I want fast turnaround times? Because you kind of got to pick one.
Yeah, because what comes along with this, and again, Doug and I are, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think I know you well enough. We're not trying to defend CGC. We're not trying to defend the turnaround times, not at all. Like, I started this by saying no one says that the turnaround times are good, even though I'm about to make a point here in a hot second. the turnaround times have to be addressed. Our point here is that the solve for that potentially is not just opening another facility. I was having a conversation with my wife right before the show, and her comment to me was, first, you have to figure out the inefficiencies in your process. You have to improve those inefficiencies. And once you do, then you open another facility if it even warrants it by that point, right? CGC, PSA, name the collectible grading company. They all have challenges. And in some cases, the challenges might be pretty similar, right? They could be pretty similar, but my hope is that they will find a way to improve these operational inefficiencies that they all seem to be experiencing, right? Without continuing to jack up the price on us, because jacking up the price and still having slow turnaround times and not the quality control that we would want, that is also not the answer. But again, we wanted to kind of touch on this just a little bit. So, Doug, I was being interviewed by a guy the other day. I did an interview. I want to say I did this conversation around 8:45 at night. So I was maybe a little sleepy. I was maybe a little sleepy, a little punch drunk. But the guy was asking me some questions, and he said, if I could have 3 wishes, what would I wish for? And I gave 2. And then my third one was that that all the back unprocessed orders at all of the grading houses, I want it to all go away. Like all of a sudden, boom, everything's graded. Everything is in the outer room, ready for UPS to pick up. And I'm not saying FedEx because I'm mad at them, right? If you follow me on Instagram, UPS to come pick it up and deliver it to your house. And then the thought, that the very next words out of my mouth was, that would probably crash the market. And so I want to ask you a question. Again, I'm not trying to defend CGC turnaround times in any way, shape, or form, or PSA or anybody else out there. But could an argument be made that because so many books are stuck in CGC, that potentially that is helping the market to not take a nosedive?
That's a tricky one. I'll say this. I think the fact that the grading companies and all collectibles are flooded is the balance between value or cost of the service that they offer and current values of books. So you could make a case that if everybody could get their comics graded perfectly, cheaply, and quickly and got them back, that the market would be so flooded that it could really, really nosedive the prices of comics. So I do think you could make that argument that is a invisible hand of the market kind of at work. I think that it probably indicates that, and no one's going to like this, so spoiler alert, I think it indicates that prices should probably be a lot higher.
You mean at CGC for grading, encapsulation, all that kind of stuff? Oof.
Yeah, and I'm not
finish that thought.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to defend it because no one likes that one. I
know. I don't like that. I would pay more because I submit. So, but what I'll say is this: I think when third-party grading started, it was worth a certain mindset that people were going to take very important, valuable books to get certified, or books in very, very high grade and get those graded. Yep. Because of how the market has exploded in comics and in cards, now it's like, well, send in everything. It's going to increase the value of everything. So the pricing tiers aren't really aligned with the values right now. So I'm not advocating to like jack up the price like PSA did, and that will, make people more selective. But maybe take a look, as your wife recommended, or what are some of those inefficiencies, and how might certain pricing adjustments help solve a problem. Yep. And I'll give one example that I thought of. Right now, CGC still offers the $8 pre-screen. and you have to submit, I think it's 25 books, but they offered that same $8 pre-screen at every tier. What that does is incentivize those with either, more resources that they're investing in this or more credit that they're using for this to go the fast track, submit 25 books at the fast turnaround tier and pre-screen everything at a level that makes sense. Now, you can't do that with every book that you just bought, but if you pick the right books, you absolutely can do that. And it incentivizes, just send everything in at the higher value, do the pre-screen, whether that's at a 9.8 or a different level for books. And then just, if you hit the lottery and got 5 books that are now worth a ton, you could just take the rest of those and sell them raw. Or if they got a 9.4 or a 9.6, repress them and send it again. And that, I think, because that is incentivized, that you can make money that way, that's probably causing a lot of logjam. There are people who just keep jumping the line with the high tier pre-screening repeatedly. And, it's kind of like if you ever go to an amusement park. There's the schlub like me who buys my ticket. Then there's somebody else who pays $50 more to get the fast track. Well, if you keep selling those fast tracks, then all the schlubs like me are waiting in line longer and longer back. So
until you step up and pay the $50, and then you jump the line.
And then everybody's paying that, and everybody's still waiting.
Yep. So and you just painted a very interesting scenario. And I mean, there's people over here that are agreeing with you, and I don't think that they want to agree with you, but it actually does make some sense. I mean, you do a pre-screen, you do a fast track, and you can churn and burn, because if the goal is to get the book in, get the book out so you can turn the book over, even if you have some misses, if you have some scores and enough of them, it offsets the pre-screen that you pay and the couple of extra bucks that you may have to pay, because technically you're probably passing that on to the customer anyway, with the price that you're going to sell the book for, so there is definitely some magic there. And I cut you off because I think you wanted to make another point there.
No, I just wanted to give a real world example. As you know, I'm a huge Sandman fan. I've submitted Sandman books at the regular modern tier several times. And it's taken a long time for some of them to get graded. In hindsight, if I just took, so right now issues 1, 4, 8, and 10 are already blowing up and are likely to blow up a lot more when the trailer comes out and the show drops. Mm-hmm. If I just held all of those books and sent them all at a pre-screen, 25 of them, and say maybe issues number 1 and 8 set it at 9.6 and 4 and 10 set it at 9.8, I'd probably only get 5 or 6 of them back, but I'd make so much off of those that paying $8 a book for the 15 rejects, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. Because your Sandman 1 at a 9.8 is a slightly over $1,000 right now. And if you buy smartly, if you bought it raw smartly, that's a lot of profit to offset. And you technically oftentimes only need to sell 1 book to pay for the entire invoice if you do it the right way.
And the rest is profit.
Which is the way that I try to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for ruining my system here, Doug, and putting it out there for people to know exactly what I'm doing. But again, I think that these are some wonderful points that people need to think about, right? None of this stuff is simple. There's a method to it. If you give up something, if you get something, you oftentimes have to give up a little something else on the other side. So again, I don't want to take a ton of time talking about this, but I did want to jump on this real quick. We normally don't have guests on Sunday, but I wanted to mix it up and maybe do something a little bit different. I don't think people were very surprised that it was you. I will tell you, the wonderful thing about Doug is that I can have an idea and be like, hey, here's 2 sentences about what I want to talk about. And that's it. Doug's ready to rock. He's ready to go. He's like, I got some thoughts. Let's make this magic happen. We get on here, we make it happen. And it's wonderful. He's a great thought partner, and I'm very appreciative for that. To that point, though, Doug, I want to give people a little bit secrets out. Secrets out. And I think somebody else also said that maybe you should do the audiobook because I guess they find your voice soothing as well. So
I don't have that voice, Reggie. You're the voice.
I don't know, brother. I don't know. There's something about your voice that I find soothing when I talk to you. Well, that's not true. I get fired up when we talk. You know, when we have our planning sessions, I do get fired up about things. And that is part of the reason why I wanted to let folks know that we have made some decisions. We made some decisions to do a couple of things because of the success of both the first and second print of the guide. The confidence that I've gained as a result of like the success that we've had. I've actually decided to start something called Swoldier Publishing. And Swoldier Publishing is going to hopefully do exactly what the name implies, publish some stuff. And I will tell you, I'm not going to tell you what those things are. I will tell you that those things are going to be awesome. They're going to roll out over the course of the year. And ultimately, I do believe at least one will launch at GarageCon 2022, which is probably going to be November 12th or 19th. I am very excited about this. We are on Instagram at Swoldier Publishing. So if you want to follow over there, I'm excited about this because for you and I both, I think it kind of comes full circle, right? We're doing some creative stuff. Both of us have a background in writing, and we're able to put some words on a paper that people enjoy reading, and they enjoy hearing our voices in their heads. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So let me pause there to get your thoughts on Swoldier Publishing.
I am super pumped about that. It's been rewarding and a lot of fun, a lot of work, but enjoyable work. There's work that grinds you down, and there's work that excites you. And working on the book and all of the things that went with that, the marketing of it, the thinking, the problem solving behind the scenes, the opportunity to collaborate with you and some other really awesome people. It's just been so much fun. And you taking this next step, you know, now that there's been kind of proof of concept, and I'm just super excited for what the coming years holds.
We have a lot of plans, man. We have a lot of plans, and fingers crossed with the assistance of folks that are watching this live and watching it on replay and that bought the book. Fingers crossed we can keep the magic happening. So does wait a minute, what is, I'm trying to read this. What is that? Burger Wagon isn't going to hit. Well done. So we might have burgers. I don't know if we're going to have burgers. Turbo Man is shouting out November 12th, please. I think my wife wanted November 12th as well. I think she wanted the 12th because she wanted it a little further away from Thanksgiving, which I think is on the 24th, but it's on like a Thursday, I want to say. So my wife was pushing for that. She said that it made a little more sense. What is that? And by work, I missed the first part of your question, your comment there. I missed the first part of that. Let me read this question real quick. What about creator royalties and secondary market sales? If CGC implemented a practice where a percentage of these slab graded books went to the people who actually produced the work? I'm not opposed to that idea, but that's incredibly complicated, right? Because technically they would have to know what the contracts are between the publishers and the creators that are actually working on it in order to kick back. And rest assured, no publisher is going to allow their creators to get some cash without them getting some cash as well. Like, that's one of the things, is that the publishing market does not benefit from the secondary market. And so what you're proposing is a fundamental change to how things are done. And not to say that it's wrong, but is that CGC's job to do that? Doug, let me pause and get your thoughts. I think you were squinting at that question as I was trying to process it.
You know, I get and I respect the thought behind wanting to give the original creators extra money. The thought of tracking that think of all the secondary markets. You know, you buy a classic car, you buy original art from somebody. If that increases value over years, the thought of, well, giving more money to the original producer of the car or the original creator of the art, while noble, I think would present a lot of challenges.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know how that would work.
You would probably need a company like I think it's BMI for the record industry. Like I
Okay.
think BMI does nothing but track like plays of music, and then they map those plays back wherever they occur back to the artist and cut them a check. Like I guess when you become a recording artist, one of the very first meetings you have, I think, is with BMI to like set up your account. So you would need to do something like that. But again, you know, does the artist even own the masters in order to get those checks, right? Again, you would need to be privy to those contracts in order to do something like that. Again, not wrong. And I will say that is one of the more original and thought-provoking ideas that I've seen in a long time. So I applaud you for that. That is, I struggle with how to do it, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good idea. So thank you for bringing that forth. I'm glad that I read that one. So let me scroll down real quick and see what else folks are talking about here. Whenever GarageCon is, I'm going to need you to reschedule. Richard was trying to pay me off to reschedule this year. Let me see, scrolling through some of the comments here. I want to at least clear some of this stuff before I let you go. Scrolling through here. Wait a minute, let me read this. So here's a comment. So I think people are losing sight of the entire reason CGC was formed in the first place, providing a fair grade that both the buyer and seller to negotiate with. What's funny is I actually recorded a video today and I was editing the video. And one of the things that I plugged into there is that the FMV, the fair market value of a comic or a piece of property, is determined when you have a knowledgeable and informed buyer and seller, right? That is, and it's, but that basically means is that you're not counting into that fair market value when people, you know, get FOMO and buy something for outrageous amounts of money, right? So I think what Lee is alluding to here is that CGC was designed to kind of level set things and to make things a little bit more fair, a little more transparent, which I think, again, is a wonderful point to make. So thank you, Lee, for that. Doug, did you want to add anything to that before I move on to the next comment here?
All good.
All right. So
I agree with it.
There you go. I think why CGC. Yeah. So this, Doug, let's talk about this real quick. And I'm keeping you a lot longer than I anticipated. So
No problem.
hopefully that's okay. A lot of people have been commenting about the number of signings that CGC has done. And I want to make this point, and I've made it before. I personally think that it is wonderful that CGC found a way during the pandemic to continue doing artist signings. The reason being, artists were financially hurt when the market shut down. They were financially hurt. And by CGC doing these signings, it allowed the creators to continue to put food on the table. One of the things that a lot of artists depend upon, to one of the earlier comments, is things like cons, where they can go and meet fans, sell their items, do consignments, do commissions, do all of these things at cons in order to bolster their income, because they may not be getting all of what they need from the individual publishers. Now, as I've always said, there's some good with some bad, right? The bad side is that maybe there are more books coming into CGC as a result of these signings. But is it really? CGC in the last couple of years did 55 cons in which they had multiple signings at every single con. Now they're maybe doing 1 or 2 a month. So is there really that? I don't know. I don't know, because I've never counted the books. Doug, what are your thoughts on the signings that that CGC is doing? Good, bad, or not?
I agree with you that anything that CGC does that helps creators make a living is good. Is that jamming up the logworks? You know, I don't know. Probably not. for the con reason that you made. And quite honestly, while I don't want to see that extend wait times for us as collectors, I love the fact that there are artists out there who maybe couldn't make a livable wage just off of a page rate or the amount of freelance business they're getting, but they can because of the supplemental income they make through commissions and signings and things like that.
Yeah, because there are some artists that do covers and they make $400 a cover. They may make 150, 160, 170 for a page. And again, if the industry isn't publishing books, then you're not even getting that, you know? So I think that when, and I've seen it a lot, people like, just stop doing all the signings and now the problem's going to be solved. Well, it's the same thing as open up a new location and all the problems will be solved. It is more complicated than that, but it's become an easy target because it's visible. But that doesn't mean that that is going to solve the problem. And it doesn't mean that what they're doing is bad, because as we've alluded to, there are people benefiting. They have 400 people around the world. CGC does 330 in Sarasota alone. And then all of these artists that are benefiting from the work. So if you don't do it, it's not going to potentially solve the turnaround times, and people are going to not have food and money to pay mortgages and all that other kind of stuff, right? So I think you have to think all the way through it. And Johnny, thank you, brother. He says BMI and ASCAP. I think that's what it is. I don't watch a whole lot of other comic book YouTubers, but I do watch things from like the business world and the music world. And that's why I know BMI, because I literally just watched a video recently where they were talking about royalties and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I paid attention to some of that. Dan, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Scrolling through. Reggie wants to share. All right, let me go ahead and let you go, Doug. Let me take this off the screen. It looks like this is a robust topic. I will tell you that I am going to head over to Discord after this live stream, and I will try to hang out for a little bit. If you guys want to continue the conversation, let's do it there. If you are not on the Discord channel, there is a link in the description. It is free to join. You can hang out and all that good stuff. Doug, before I let you go, brother, any parting thoughts or comments you want to make?
Yeah, don't hate me for throwing out right sizing CGC prices. That it's just part of a conversation.
Let's be clear, Lo. So what is your email again?
Yeah.
I'll post it up in the comment section so
Thank
people
you.
can send those comments directly to you. As always, brother, it is a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me.
Take care.
Love that guy, man. So what say you guys? What say you guys about Batman? Should he actually kill? Again, I brought this up because there was a recent Peacemaker episode. I don't know that I saw this one. I don't know that I saw it, to be honest with you. But because I struggled with with episode 1 of Peacemaker. But this is something that actually came up. And it is a topic of discussion. And the question is, should Batman kill the way that Peacemaker actually does? I am curious what people's thoughts are. And I want to go to the comment section here in a second to see if people have any comments on that. Let me see. Triple A is making a point here that CGC has a UK office that doesn't grade. They just send them over to the US, which is pointless. And again, I think that part of the reason why they do that, man, is because having skilled people over there anywhere other than the central location is a little tough to have people with the skill set to be able to do it. And I guess part of the reason why they do it maybe is to help cut down on people shipping and to cut down on the need for people to actually use a facilitator that would collect the books and then send them over individually. Maybe that's why they do it, but I do get your point, AAA. I do get the point that you're trying to make, that it would be better to have a full office versus one that is just a forwarder, if you will. So let me scroll through some of the comments here. What makes the grass grow, not Batman? Scrolling through, we have the Grim Knight for that. And so, no, Batman should not kill, says the almighty Liger King. Scrolling through some of the comments here, Lee is making the point that I made a second ago. Yeah, I think, I'm choosing to think that what he was talking about was the fact that what he would want is a true CGC location that can actually grade, encapsulate, clean press, all that kind of stuff, not just forward it on. I think that that's what he means. But yeah, to your point, there is definitely some benefit. Phil Tastic says, nope. A Batman who kills equals Thomas Wayne or the Grim Knight, says Phil Tastic, who has a YouTube channel. Phil Tastic, if you want to drop your YouTube channel in the chat here so people can check you out, please do that. There is also a place on the Discord server for people that are part of the community to share links to their videos. I think that's where I actually saw Phil Tastic's video earlier today. I could be confused, but I thought that that's where I saw it. Asking if Batman should kill is like asking if Superman should just walk and not fly. No. Scrolling through, Joker has killed more people than COVID. Here's the thing. Several months ago, that would have halted the monetization of this video. I'm glad we have reached a point where I can actually read that statement and not jack myself up. Well done, Toad, man. Definitely appreciate that. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Batman kills equals DC sales. Ooh, that is a provocative thought. That is a very provocative thought. Scrolling through, Phil Richard's raising a very good point here. He's raising a fantastic point that there are 133 people. There were actually more than that here a short while ago. I think we were at like 145. I could be wrong. And only 60 likes. People, go ahead and smash the like button. Send a message to the algorithm that you like what you see here. Dragon Ink says, let Black Adam do the killing, he says. Scrolling through, not killing is at the core of what makes Batman's vigilantism / morality interesting. Well done there, Quest Dog. Scrolling through, that's why Batman has Red Hood for the killing, he says. Scrolling through the comments here, I think I'm all caught up. Give you guys a heads up, man. We're going to be giving away a really cool book as part of Patreon. This is the hardcover Excellence hardcover. You guys remember that I had one of the creators on the show several months ago, Brandon Thomas. I received 3 copies of the Excellence hardcover. This one is still sealed in plastic. I'm going to be giving it away next month to one lucky Patreon member. I will tell you that it has a defect. There is a defect there, a little bit of a hump on the spine, but still a dope book that is going to be given away to one lucky member of Patreon. All you have to do is sign up. There is a link in the description to do so. Want to give a shout out to my man, Joe. Joe A sent me a wonderful book. He sent me Tales from the DMV. And so there's a note here that says, I just watched a podcast where you and Doug were talking about Diamond and Steve Geppi. He says, I didn't know a lot about the early years of Steve Geppi and Diamond. So he's giving me this book, Tales from the DMV. Chapter 21 is Steve Geppi's history. Chapter 2, 27, 24 is the history of Barbarian Book, the oldest comic book store in the world. Look it up on YouTube. He says, I knew a lot of people in this book having grown up in the DMV in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, having bought AF-15 right off the newsstand when I was 14 years old. We talked a while back about Mambo sauce in Washington, D.C. So that is a wonderful letter that came from Joe A. Shout out to Lee Atkins for sending me that Mambo sauce. And by sending, I technically mean hand delivering it to me at GarageCon. There is like this much left in there, brother, because I love some Mambo sauce. And again, shout out to Joe for Tales from the DMV. He sent this over. This is a really nice book. I need to take a look at it. But definitely a cool thing. I am always appreciative when people put together little bundles of joy known as AOKs and send them over to me. All right. With that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this show up. As I mentioned earlier, we have a couple of cool videos that are going to be coming out this week. I hope you guys will watch the videos. One of them is dope but underutilized. We're going to be looking at some, as the title implies, dope yet underutilized characters out there in the world of comics and collectibles. We're going to talk about how CGC cost me some big money. We're going to do a comic book haul, and then I hope folks will turn out for the Comics Today show on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. With that said, as always, if you guys need to reach out to me for any reason, you can actually do it on Instagram at Regie Collects. You can also send me a message via the website, regiecollects.com. There's a ton of wonderful information there, including discount codes for the various partners that I have. My point here is that if you need me, I am not too hard to find. Take care.